Well, good morning, everyone. Sam Marwood, Cultivate Farms. I have here Adam Gibson, who is the Cultivator coach and mentor. Welcome to Get Off the Fence. We have our fourth Cultivator program running, and we wanted to have a chat with potential cultivators, you here online and everyone watching at home as well, to talk about Cultivator and why we're running this program. This is now the bread and butter of who we are as Cultivate Farms. If you don't have a farm pitch, you can't get in front of investors and retiring farmers. It's just so much harder if you don't have a proposal. And that's what Cultivate is all about, getting you just to write and to clarify exactly what you need and be supported by good people and experts and other farmers to write, have a pitch, have a financial model, and through that opportunities come. And we'll talk through what other cultivators have been through and the opportunities that are coming up now. But today, what we just want to go through, have some one-on-one discussions with yourselves as well around, is this a good fit for you? Yes or no? And unpack that. We as Cultivate are here to get you on your farm. And this is one way to make it happen, but we're not here to force you down any pathway. We want to throw you many options and get you inspired that you can get on your farm. Ali is joining us here. She's from Herbert Kane Productivity Services up in Queensland, and Ali is a great supporter of Cultivate. We've got a program running up in the Ingham catchment, which is all about making farm matches happen. And we're going to have hopefully half a dozen Ali farmers up your way go through Cultivator. And at the same time, we're uncovering retiring farmers up in that catchment. So what a good model, hey, Ali. And hopefully if this works, we can roll this out across Australia, doing the old matching. Blind dating. No, it won't be blind dating. It'll be speed dating, hopefully by mid-year, with these retiring farmers and aspiring farmers. So Adam, what do you think? What's the best way of doing this? Should we go around the grounds, or we should do a bit more info about Cultivator? I'm assuming most people know, about Cultivate and the Cultivator program in general, but felt like we were talking before, Adam, that it's probably good just to go around and see where people are at.
Yeah, look, if you guys are happy to share. Hi everybody. I apologise for my voice. I'm coughing and spluttering and stuff here today, so apologies. But if I can just have everyone to share where you're from and really why you're here at this. What are you considering Cultivator for? This is sort of the idea for today is just have a two-way discussion about whether this is the right move for you or not. It's not like Stam said, it may not be. You might not be the right fit for Cultivator. But we just want to understand a bit more about you and answer any questions you have, and if I can offer you some insights as to what you might expect in the process, because it's evolving rapidly. I think what the current cohort has been through is different to the previous one, and so on. So there's an involvement there. So I'd just be great to hear, why are you here considering Cultivator? What would you potentially want out of it? And also where you're from. It'd be great. So Joseph, we've met you already. Do you want to get kicked off? Just unmute and just tell us, take like a minute if you could.
Yeah. Okay. So Joseph, I'm down in Victoria, Western Victoria. And why I'm probably sitting on the fence, mainly due to time. I have 4 young kids, and a little side hustle business, sheep pregnancy scanning, and that fairly well occupies my time from March through to July. And probably a hesitation of mine is that we are affiliated with a family farm, and we do have equity available to us, although that is very unclear, as we're just kind of unpacking a bit of the succession process. So, yeah.
Okay, so it's a bit of time, and it's fine. How? All right, I'll come back to you, mate. But thank you. That's great. James, you there? You can share with us, mate. If you want to unmute, good to hear what your.
I'm up. I was just having my breakfast, so
that's all right. Breakfast time.
Yeah, so I'm up in Ingham, in the Herbert here. I've actually signed up for the program, so I'm probably a little bit ahead there, but keen to sort of just know a bit more about it, I guess, unraveling how that sort of investment stuff comes into it, more from the I suppose those other ag investors, how they can assist us to get on farm, I suppose the dream would be sort of like a mixed cropping livestock type operation. Got a bit of experience in broadacre cropping, but yeah, plenty to learn. And I think this is a great program to sort of get us on our way. But yeah, I just
Currently, Andrew, are you with us?
Yes, I am. I don't know if you can hear me.
Hey, mate.
Yep.
How are you?
Yeah, good. So I'm a lapsed Cultivator 3 participant, where my corporate gig sort of screwed me over Christmas and stole all my time. So I've come over.
Wondering what happened to you, mate. You were,
Yeah. Working for the man took priority, unfortunately, but it's worked out in the end because I got a raise and all that sort of stuff. So I got a little bit more equity coming.
Yeah.
But yeah, in Southeast, for those who aren't aware of who I am, from Cultivator 3, which is everyone, Southeast Queensland based, looking to start a polyfaced sort of system and incorporating some education space in that. And hopefully, as we proceed along, helping people in the same situation as us, bring them on, getting them some experience, and then we're moving on to their own farms.
Gotcha. And you want to find something within a Kui of Brisbane, do you? Is that right?
Oh, Kui of we're thinking about an hour north of Brisbane, but with Sam's kind words, we've expanded a bit further into the scenic rim in northern New South Wales, and we're just looking for a site now.
Yeah, gotcha. Cool.
Yeah.
You want to buy something, or you want to just? It doesn't matter.
We'd like to, have some equity in it. We had a family farm down in Sam's neck of the woods, which is recently sold following COVID.
Yep.
And so we've got a little bit of cash flow from that. So we'd like to cash into it.
Very good. Ellie, do you want to just tell us why you're here? Just apart from the obvious, but love to have your 2 cents worth. What your interest in this is.
So I'm based in Ingham and I work for a company called Herbert Kane Productivity Services. So Herbert Kane Productivity Services is working with Cultivate Farms on a project for the Great Barrier Reef Foundation. So our role, we are offering technical services. So I'm an agronomist, so we are going to offer to our aspiring farmers technical advice. So how to create a fertilizer plan, weed management, run them through some training courses and offer them agronomy support so they can be productive on their new farm.
Gotcha. Good. All right. Awesome. All right. Sasha, are you here with us yet or not? No. All right. So there's going to be a few people listening to a recording here. So if you're not comfortable with that, please let us know. But we will have some of the questions we're going to address today for the sake of the recording. But we're only going to take another, 25 minutes here. It's not taking all morning, just so you know. Don't feel you settled in too far. 20 minutes maybe. So, guys, rather than me, I guess the objective, Sam said, is to get you guys any questions you have about if this is a good fit for you or not. Sam's got some typical questions that come up around it, which I'll address. Andrew, I might even throw to you. You've been inside the program a bit, and so you might be a good bit of insight. But do you have anything specific or burning you guys want to ask straight up, or should we? Is there anything, Joseph or Andrew, James? What's anything you need to throw in straight away in terms of specific to you?
And James, I think you were heading towards that investor angle. Is that what I was trying to write down while you're talking, actually?
Yeah, I suppose it's of interest, I suppose, as to, especially like up here in the Herbert, we've got plenty of aging farmers. We probably have the oldest population of that demographic, I suppose, in Australia around here, and a lot of them are still cane farming. Some of that, though, sometimes they don't want to let go as such yet. So, in a situation, we may need external ag businesses to invest in this space. I'd sort of like to know if I have an idea that there is a few around, but what I suppose the appetite for them to invest up here in the north.
Yep.
and how that may play out.
Investing, is that who you see as the investor, an ag business, like an existing, is it?
Like an ag investment
Investor
company, I suppose. Yeah.
All right. Look, I'll speak to that because this is an interesting thing I'm seeing. Excuse me. But look, I've been in this space now for about 4 years, and I've really entered it purely from an impact point of view. I could see the emerging need for this regenerative and good farming practice and so on, all to become part of a mainstream narrative. And so I've entered this space and sort of been curious about what's going on. And what I could see really clearly straight away was, because it's with the benefit of sort of having a bit of distance from it, looking in on it, I go, wow, there's all this money floating around the cities looking for a home, and yet there's all these farmers looking for money, and no one's matchmaking them. There's no segue between the two. And it did well. There's a few, but not many. There's only a very, very few. And particularly at the scale that Sam and you guys are talking, which is typically the family farm or, a family operation, there's just nothing. There was no service at all. There's a few of the bigger sort of corporate types. But so what we've managed to sort of evolve with, and this is a good update for you too, Andrew, is we've come up with a model that really de-risks and demystifies an investment in agriculture for an average investor. And when I say an average investor, they don't have to be a sophisticated investor. In other words, a mum and dad type investor who's got some superannuation, self-managed super, that kind of thing, can be a great investor in this. Or it could be someone who's managing money for someone else. It could be equally either of those. But so what we've done is basically made a farm investment as vanilla as possible, as boring as possible, and as simple as possible for an investor to understand returns. So I can go into the formula of that, but my big vision of this is, look, there's rivers of money out there. We're just creating a little irrigation channel off to a side, and we're getting some trickles coming through now, and it's starting to go. And I can really see that, the water it's going to turn into a fairly major torrent. The big shift that's happened in the last 12 months, obviously with COVID, has changed the appetite for investors and consumers, I think. But this idea of investing in the food system and people understanding the inherent frailty in our food system is just in everyone's minds now. We know that if toilet paper can run out and suddenly, things don't get in from overseas and stuff, we're just starting to realize, wow, we need to be producing more than just soy and wheat and so on. We need food sources on site, in our country. So that's the appetite, and investors are seeing that. It's even at a larger level. We're seeing, I think I read a report even 2 years old now. Jeremy Grantham, from a big investment, he manages something like $180 billion of other people's money. And he's this old, 80-odd-year-old English guy in a suit in the city of London, who I guess is reflecting on his future and where he's going and what impact he's had in his life. And he's put a report out called "The Race of Our Lives Revisited," highlighting the imperative that we've got a population doing this worldwide, and we've got a food system crashing due to poor agricultural practices. And his point is, there's the biggest investment opportunity of our lifetime. It's also the most imperative thing we can do as a species. So that's coming from the top end, invest in agriculture. So there's a long answer, James, to a short question, but the appetite's there. We've just got to make it palatable. One of the things Sam says up front with this is you got to be prepared, professional, and persistent in it. And you've got to be the sort of thing the investors are looking for, rather than something weird they never heard of. They've got to feel comfortable with it. And the most typical investment I think that we can compare this to is a commercial real estate investment. Commercial real estate investors go in and say, look, I've got some money. If I park it in the bank, I'll get nothing for it right now, literally, under 1% maybe. If I can go and put some commercial, put it into a service station, for example, and I can spend I can take a 10th share. I have to spend $5 million on a service station. I can put $500,000 in with 10 other people in a unit trust. I'll get a 4% return on it over 15 years with a gold star tenant, Caltex or someone. I know I'm going to keep my money. I know in 15 years that property is going to be worth a lot more than when I started. It's a set and forget type investment. So that's the appetite out there. If you're going to go in and find venture capitalists who are trying to back new innovations and get all complicated, we start losing on most of the investors are out there. So I guess what I'm saying is the formula is there now to keep it real simple and get in front of the right people. And those networks are really opening up for us now.
And I guess just reflecting on the Cultivate Farms journey since we started, like I reckon we've got amazing timing that we're identifying a big gap in the market, i.e. there are a lot of retiring farmers looking for solutions, and there's so many people with money who don't realize that they can invest into farms. And our model is now to empower you to be on the front foot. You don't have to sit around waiting for someone else to come in and say, hey, I want to buy your farm for you, and here's what you're going to do. It's you just tell us, and you figure out what you want, and we'll keep uncovering these farmers, and like we are doing up in the Herbert catchment and all over Australia, and we'll keep uncovering these investors, and it's your job just to know what you want and put it in front of them. I think in 10 years time, 15 years time, 20 years time, everyone's going to be pitching for investors. Like this is going to be a pretty normal sort of thing. I think about the tech boom, Silicon Valley, this idea of people running around with apps trying to get money was probably weird, 20 years ago, but now everybody's doing it. And I feel like we're on this start of a wave here of connecting people back to the bush and connecting people back to land and saying, you can now invest. You don't have to run your farm yourself. You just got to back a great farmer and own it with them. I just really am excited. And that's the reason why we still rock up every day and push this Cultivate Farms idea, because we know there's a massive opportunity here and we need you. Like we need you to write, and we need you to have your vision, and we need you to push, because without you doing this, these opportunities won't build.
The appetite, the problem out there now, and this is again answering your question, James, it's relevant, everyone. The problem I hear from investors, people who curate investors into investment. So their problem is deal flow. They haven't got enough investable stock, in their mind. So we're positioning you guys potentially as the investable option for these investors who are out there. So the other part of that story is there's a growing appetite, as most of you would be aware, for impact type investing. That's a very popular thing now. And even in the mainstream, there's a sort of a greenwashing going on. If you're being cynical, you call it greenwashing around a lot of investment funds and super funds and so on. The idea of ethical investing is really important to a lot of people now. And to the extent that the banks and people are they're catching on and positioning themselves, they're looking for stuff that aligns with the consumer sentiment. So as a farmer, you have a unique impact story to tell in terms of the food system, how you treat the land, how you treat animals, how you treat your community, your family, the legacy and succession. There's a whole impact. Biodiversity is a big one. How you manage water, how you deal with chemicals and pollutants and so on. The impact story that goes with that is just so hot right now that I encourage all of you, whatever you do with Cultivate, consider the impact part of what you're up to, because that's where the investors will buy in with their hearts, but they'll need to justify the deal with logic. So they need to believe in the deal up front and feel good about it. It's more exciting, for example, than buying a Caltex service station, what you guys are doing. They feel more connected to it. But they also need to know that, it's as boring and as vanilla and as reliable as a Caltex service station in terms of my investment and long-term returns. Excuse me. So that's really what the Cultivator program will steer you towards, is being in that space, in that sweet spot. Anyway, I said I'd answer questions, and I've been talking too much. So who else? Is anyone else? Or Sam, you got questions? Or Andrew, thoughts? Sasha, Joseph, where are you guys sitting? What do you need to know about here?
I had one more, if no one's going to jump in. With like the generic approach to even those retiring farmers from the past case studies and whatnot, what was that sort of, step 1, 2 to 3 in terms of getting in front of a potential retiring farmer or a potential investment option without sort of coming across as, I'm here, I really want your farm and I don't want to be rude about it. How do we, what would be that generic step process?
Mate, honestly, James, the generic process is you identify the sort of farm you're after and see, you know, what's the criteria that suit your needs on a lot of levels. Sometimes that's a process in itself, because we can work on a lot of assumptions. I want this and it's got to be that. But if you dig into it and do the numbers around it, particularly if you start pulling the numbers around an idea and do some real bit of due diligence on this, some assumptions, test some assumptions, often what you think you want can change. That's been the experience for a lot of people in the program. So clarifying that's really, really good part of this, because otherwise you can go buy something that doesn't suit you. You know, that's one part of it. But once you clear what you want, you go identify what stock is out there, what farms are out there, and literally do that door knocking and get in touch with these guys and say, look, and we train you a little bit on how to have those conversations. It's a great point you've made. And this is the softer part of the skill set here, is how to have that conversation in a way that doesn't, you know, offend the farmer, the vendor. It doesn't make you look like a dickhead. It doesn't, you know, make you the pariah of the local community, being, you know, like, that's some really important stuff. How do you make those conversations happen in a way that is good for everyone? But we certainly don't let that become the barrier. You know, you've got to be out there asking, you've got to be in the market. Or you can activate real estate agents to do that for you. That's part of how to do that's another part of it.
Well, that's right. And I just want to jump in. I think there's two things going on. Like we are very focused on writing the document. So, you know, Cultivate Farms, you've seen all my content just pumping out around tactics and little methods and writing letters, like Joseph's writing letters to neighbors, etc. There's all these tactics out there, but Cultivate is really focused on getting your plan written and picking a farm, showing you know, helping you figure out how to write about yourself. Like, that's a big one. Showing you can make money, showing your passion, your why. You know, Bert Glover from Impact Ag is one of our advisors, and you know, he deals with, you know, millions and millions of dollars, but he's always saying, well, why? What is your passion? It's like, wow. So, okay, he's dealing with money, but a lot of it is the why. So getting that out of you is key. So we really sort of focus this on your pitch, but at the same time as writing the pitch, these are the normal discussions we have every session, is like, well, how do I get that pitch in front of someone? And that's the sort of stuff we'll keep working on a bit by bit. But a lot of that is about confidence. If you aren't confident to go to an investor or that accountant who you know has 5 investors with $10 million sitting there not knowing what to do with it, if you're not confident in yourself that you can make money and know how to make it work, then it's going to be a very awkward and you know, slow sort of discussion, and you'll never get a follow-up. And so we're saying, write your pitch, get confident, and then you know, the last 3 sessions basically of Cultivator are really about pumping you up to go, have you asked someone, get out there, test it, go talk to the accountant, the lawyer, that person you know, and you know you've known for years, who actually has, you think they've got millions of dollars sitting in their bank account. You're not quite sure, but just having that quiet little conversation saying, hey, I'm doing Cultivator, it's about developing a pitch, just want to get your advice, and slowly opportunities start to uncover. I just think about Melanie, who's part of Cultivator now. She's sort of near Dalesford Way in Victoria. And there's a lot of people who've moved out there from Melbourne who are quite wealthy. And she's been out there talking, and opportunities are coming to her just because she started talking about it and having that confidence. I think about another one, Lyndon, who was part of our second program. His dad found out he's doing the program and said, stop doing the program. You can have the family farm. It was this fear of missing out from his dad, that his son was off going to go to a farm somewhere else. So to us, that's, I guess, why we've honed so much in on this Cultivator program, is that we know there's all these tactics, and we know there are people waiting, and we know there's ways to get in front of them. But without a document and without you full of confidence, the conversation can't really go anywhere. So it's a bit of a both, but mainly we focus on the pitch, and then we'll give you lots of ideas. And then from here on, once you've done Cultivator, you know us, you know me, we'll be constantly kicking around ideas and opportunities, and that's what we do day by day. So I think in summary, it's you'll have a pitch and you'll have confidence, and opportunities will start to unfold in front of your eyes.
Andrew, what are you here for, mate? What do you need from you? Are you considering having another go at this? And just
yeah, I'm back in. I'm back on. I'm in the game. I must say, Cultivator 3, I probably got halfway through before working for the man took over. Yep. But the first part was fantastic, especially for solidifying the idea for my wife and I, what we wanted to do, and opening up as you said, the other options that are out there. We hadn't things we hadn't thought of, even just in conversations within the offshoots of the sessions. Things popped up and I hadn't thought of that. That's a fantastic idea. Let's do that. Or at least put it on paper to include it.
The idea for you, huh?
Very much so.
Yeah. Okay. What do you need from this round? It's just obviously you want to finish it, but what's the main need here?
I needed the time, basically, which was, but it's that second half was just getting yourselves and Sam's and Bert and Mike's just insights on our plan and making sure it's a viable option, basically, and something that someone would want to, and also your contacts.
Yeah, well, that's two things about it's probably the untold part of this. I think is the level of expertise we bring on to this program to advise. It just blows me away, honestly. I mean, I facilitate more than being the expert about everything. I'm more about getting the best out of you as the participants. But Andrew, do you want to comment, mate, on Bert? Who else did you see? Who are the other experts?
Well, I saw you had Charlie at your place last week, which I was like, very excited about. There are other untapped resources, as you said, that you just don't know about that are out there, and they get just mentioned in passing. And I've been watching them on or following them on Instagram or other social medias.
The Cultivate Farms tentacles go long and varied. There's no one. You know what, Sam and I talked about this during the week. There's no one in the farming or regenerative space, particularly around the world now, we can't get to within one phone call. We pretty much, it's a pretty tight community, to be fair, but I've got a lot of contacts in Europe and the States. And, there's a lot of, I was talking to a guy this week who's got projects. He's got a project in China, which is so big and so exciting that it just blew me away, So we've got stuff all over the place. We're all connected, and that's part of the benefit of being part of this. So I think it's an ecosystem to join. I think that's really important in business to have not just, a business coaching group, but also a network. You can get to the right people who do your marketing, the right people who do your books, the right people who know investors. Like, you want to have that network that is supporting your efforts and shortens the gap between an idea and its implementation, by having connections with the right people and the resources. So that's probably the big, the secret sauce of Cultivator, which no one sort of realizes till they're in there, in my mind. In my view.
And Jason, I'll go to you. Andrew, had to drop out halfway through for timing, and sounds like time's an issue for you, mate. Is that the biggest thing holding you back? Is that how do you fit it in?
That is definitely one of the concerns. And so I'm currently working with a business coach, which kind of not so much dabbles on the farm stuff, but more the pregnancy scanning business. But I suppose I think I'm pretty clear on what I want and what I'm after, and I see value in the Cultivate, the program, in pulling it all together and making that a business plan that you can go out and pitch, and you just. It's already inside of you, but you just know it inside out, and you can, pitch and deliver, on demand. And you mentioned something about confidence before, Sam, and I suppose that it's probably always been my issue. Not so much confidence in myself, but confidence in the economic market and outlook. So, like down here where we are, and I presume this is a everywhere concern, is that we are our land values are at the moment above the trend line, so they've really separated away from that trend line. So that provides a bit of a risk in buying at the moment, like we're buying at the top of the market essentially, and who knows where that market's going to be. But I suppose because it's separating from that trend line, there is the risk that it could come off a little bit, which isn't a great concern, but the interest is at record lows. And if that was to rise, then that could be damaging because you're paying so much, like you've got so much debt out there. And I suppose that all boils down to that there's the separation of the earning capacity to the value of the land. That earning capacity is still the same, but the value is increasing. So that's probably one of my largest concerns.
So you're talking, Joseph, in terms of if you were, I guess, like a tenant farmer, that your value of the land's going beyond your reach while you're improving it. Is that what you're saying or not?
Yeah. So in terms of lease values, like it's we just had a property that was leased out it's in the process of leasing out now, and that the price that it made, there's no way I could make those numbers work.
Gotcha.
And it's a lot cheaper to buy at the moment, but if interest rates were to rise, then you could be exposed a lot, and that could be in a bit of trouble.
Look, I think, mate, it's really good concerns. I think it's good that you raise them. I shouldn't say they're good concerns, but it's good things to air, you know. And I guess what I see as part of this process for everyone, it's really important to realize it's not just about creating a pitch document. That's just the tool. That's just learning how to build a shovel and a pick, and so you know how to dig for gold. The object, my agenda for Cultivator is that you come out with a farm investment or some sort of outcome or result. For some of the guys, that's been they've ended up in share farming arrangements already. In some of your group, Andrew, a couple of them already found arrangements to go. And Sam, you might want to talk about some of the outcomes there. There's some good outcomes that people weren't expecting, but and there's two or three that are ready to go and got investors. We've raised half of one investment this week. You know, over $1.4 million we've got committed to a farm. We've just got to find the other half now. So what I'm getting at is it's about the outcome. The process of getting there for you, Joseph, is all those questions I think they're the things we test out and exactly the process we go through in order to get to the right result. So what those questions in your head, that's really what we work on as we go. You know, the what if scenarios. What happens? Why buy now? You know, why would Bert Glover from Impact Ag be buying now and not be worried about the interest rate, or, you know, explore that with the experts. So it's about getting that input and really being clear on those things. And one outcome for you may be you go, well, this is not the right time and we don't do it, which would be a good outcome. You know when to go in again another time perhaps. Or it might be you make a decision to do it and you've got figures to back you up and you've got a lease in place you can afford. So I guess I'm giving you a long-winded answer to that, but I think this is really that's the uncovering process for you in this. Yeah,
that's right. And Joseph, these are bigger discussions I get to have as Cultivate is like the value of land and the productive value that's off that. Are we moving to more European style where the land prices are just absolutely ridiculous and nowhere near what you can make off them? And I think part of it, just listening to you, is understanding what you're willing to risk and what you're willing to do, and what burden you're going to carry for the rest of your life if you do go into invest into a farm where you are, and that's around. And bottom line is land value. And the answer might, as Adam said, the answer might be it does not make financial sense to invest where you are. Whether that's a good thing or not, but at least you know where you stand, and maybe it could be now the value of land that you need to buy at. And that's where opportunities can pop up with retiring farmers, for example. As you've been unpacking already, at least you'll know when you go talk to them, hey, this is, the values are going crazy. What are your values as a farmer? Do you just want to sell to the highest bidder? Fantastic if you do, but here's what I'm thinking, and here's how I could buy in over time for this amount, and I know it can work. And have those sort of discussions, which aren't going to fall in your lap every day, but could fall in your lap, and they are coming to us more and more. We just talked about a farm near your way with farmers who just want a good farmer and are looking to do a good deal. So a bit of this, I guess, is you having, again, that confidence in what you think is good value, and just be confident in that. Whether that turns into being able to have a pitch to go and take to investors or not is probably neither here nor there. It's this. I know what the value of land is, and now I can go be confident to uncover people who could back me with a sensible approach, not overstating that. Yeah, you can make money off no matter what value of land there is.
Yeah, it really is important to have all that information, the tools. I think, mate, like one thing we don't want to let. I'm just one of these guys that believes that the last thing you want to live with is regret. And if this is on your radar, which you hear, it's obviously if farm ownership's on your radar, this is a great way to figure out for sure if it's the right thing for you or not, and if it's actually what you need and what is suitable for you and your family. And by the end of it, you're going to come out going, yeah, yes, we're in, or no. But either way, there'll be no regrets left because you've explored it fully. And that's, to me, that's a great life outcome, So we want to see farm investments made because it's kind of our KPI, but it's more important we have happy, you guys come out with what you need from it. Any other quick questions? I'm conscious of time here and taking up all morning for you, but is there any other thoughts or questions about that has you, I mean, probably the context is if you're considering Cultivator this time, and maybe Joseph is really just for you, or Sasha if you're online here, but what's preventing you doing it, and what other concerns do you have about that? What's standing in the way of you feeling great about moving ahead with it or not? Is there anything else that's sitting there for you that you want to just chat about? I can address. Might not be the answer for it, but
yeah, and I'd be interested maybe if Andrew wanted to jump in as well. But yeah, like how does the actual program work, and like time commitments? What's what are the nuts and bolts of the mechanics, like time required, when is it, those kind of things.
And did you want to comment, mate? Because you were in it. It's easy for me to give you a standard answer. But what's your experience of it?
The time commitment is I think it's 2.5 hours a week on sitting in front of the computer with the group, and then I would suggest at least 3 to 4 hours a week just working through the homework, I suppose you could call it, from the previous session, and then I spent probably about half an hour or so a week chatting with some other folk in the group on Facebook, just touching base and bouncing stuff back and forth. And then that's about I would say the right amount of time to get the nuts and bolts. Obviously, you can spend more time and go through everything, but I would say 4 hours on top of the meet a week is a good time frame.
Okay, so I would. Was that 4 hours? What's that spent doing, Andrew, for you? What were you spending in that extra time? What was it?
So it was basically cementing our idea of what it actually was, trying to get that on paper, trying to find. The big thing for us was the financials, how to make it work. Working out what we could do off what we were looking at. And in that instance, what we were looking at originally, it wouldn't have worked. So we had to post up the amount of space that we think we would need. And then also sending those emails and talking to real estate agents. And that was part of that time as well. Just telling them what we were doing and what we're looking for. And it's worked. I'm inundated with emails daily from real estate agents with what is popping up and stuff that's not on the market yet. And it's just finding, getting the idea solidified and getting the financials hopefully right, and then getting the idea out there and speaking to even speaking to other farmers who are doing similar things and getting some information from them about financials and all that sort of thing, and what to do and what not to do. Sort of.
I think one thing for you, Joseph, to consider is that your model, from what you told me earlier, will be a lot simpler than what Andrew's been working on. Andrew's working on a mixed farming, sort of permaculture type teaching property. It's not just a straight grazing. It's not a
yes.
And your model, that 4 hours a week, I would suggest would come down considerably based on the P2P agri, for example. It's really about grazing. It's a grazing system plug your numbers in. It's going to do a lot of the heavy lifting for you. And if if you know what the farm looks like and if you've done a bit of business planning already or some thinking on this, that pitch, writing your pitch document, working your business plan out, I would suggest, more than a couple of hours a week, I'd say you're probably spending too much time on it if you already know roughly what it looks like. Andrew's probably different stuff. He was figuring out what it was going to look like, as there's a part of that in it.
Very much so.
The lifting will come in the towards the end, as we're saying, connecting with investors, real estate agents, that kind of thing. Is more of it's towards the end of the program, you'll find there's a bit more time involved with that. But that's the sort of stuff I find you normally make time for quite happily, because it's like they're pretty exciting conversations to have. Investors are talking to you, properties are coming up. That doesn't somehow that fits in. How much you got to put towards this, Joseph? You feel
Time wise?
Yeah.
I was just having a bit of a think about that. Look, I can probably always scrounge up an hour, maybe 3 or 4 nights a week. I think I could nearly get that time commitment. It's probably also the headspace, like with just a lot of other things going on. Like we've just put him on a subcontractor for our business, and so I'm training her up. So she's actually working right now, and I have to go and see her after this call. But so it's just the headspace of things. But I had just a question for Andrew. Just in your experience with what you've done so far, the homework aspect, like you were just saying, Adam, was that quite enjoyable to do? Like you were inspired to go out and do it? And
very much so. It was. I call it homework. It's not really homework. My wife and I have been looking to do this for 10 years. Life got in the way, and now we're in a position where we can. And it's every week we'd finish our session, and we'd be like, okay, notes, what are we doing, and get cracking, and then jump back into everyday life. But it was it's not home. I call it homework. It's not homework.
Sorry, just typing a message there. Look, Joseph, you got a lot going on. I get that. And 4 kids. I've got 3, so yeah, you beat me by 1, but it's hard to balance everything. I guess with these things, you got to look at it as they're a sprint. I give everyone a real push to make this happen quickly. It's 8-10 weeks. Is it 10 weeks this one, Sam, or 8? I can't remember. So it's not for extra break. Really just like get it done. This is our, sacrifice a couple of hours sleep here and there for the next few weeks, for the next couple of months, get this done and dusted, and you'll know, then you've got the tools to go out and spend the time, you'll be clear what you need. You'll have it all there. You'll have a lot of clarity about what you want. And if the right farm doesn't actually land in your lap in that time, which is what I aim for, is to have it actually deal in place, you'll have all the tools in order to be, at your leisure, then going to find the right place down the track. But you do need that sort of 10 weeks worth of focus, and something you might have to. I tell people all the time, turn off Netflix for a couple of months and see how much shit you get done. Look, there's a lot of things that can give that would potentially free up space. Consider it from that point of view. But
finding the time was very easy until the corporate gig took over. But yeah, it's not difficult at all.
Any other thoughts, questions? Sam, anything else you want me to clarify?
I'm happy to wrap it up here, but these have all been amazing questions and great feedback from Andrew, having been part of it so far as well. But trying to think what the value we're trying to provide is to get you on your farm. I think that's our bottom line, and we're just uncovered that Cultivator is one way to really, we think, supercharge that. So we're trying to find ways to help you and to get you going. And we really believe this program. So, encourage you to sign up, but also encourage you to just keep chatting and just be honest and upfront around what you really think you need and what you do need. And we just keep uncovering it. That's our job. Uncover ways to get you on your farm. That's what we want. So, love you to sign up, but also just love you to keep focusing on your vision to own a farm, and let's find those ways to make it happen.
Yeah. Look, with my final 2 cents, I guess, is like I said, I'm not pushing you if you're not ready for everyone, but for those who are on the recording too, I guess I'm speaking to you guys as well if you're listening to this afterwards. But I know enough about this now. I've done the current program and immersed myself enough in this. We're really streamlining the process and getting it. We're refining and streamlining as we go, which is sort of part of my gig of what we've brought to this. And I'm just really excited how quickly this can happen now. The first cultivator, I think, was 12 months, wasn't it, Sam? Over a year for $5,000 or whatever. The one we're in the middle of now is sped that process up to be sort of over 3-4 months. This next one's 10 weeks. And I feel we can get the same result, if not better, in that time, because we've got this sort of learning and, sharpen the saw in terms of what we need to achieve. So I'm really excited to see you guys do it. We need the deal flow. The investors are there. That's the other part we're doing in the background is recruiting and educating investors. That's a big part of where I've, excuse me, pushed Sam and said, look, we've got to do this and have these investors ready. But we'll also have you guys out there having those conversations as well. And, really taking a step up. A lot of this process is that, you have the tools, like the pitch documents and all the rest of it. But ultimately too, it's about who you turn up as a business owner, as a potential farmer, and having conversations that you would otherwise feel completely intimidated by or wouldn't be able to have a year ago. A couple of months from now, you'd be surprising what you can do with yourself. So there's there's a real personal growth journey there, which I feel is one of the great gifts in this. Who you turn up as and who you become as a business person, as a human being, can be really, fine tuning why you're here on the planet, what you want to do in your career, what impact you want to make, having the responsibility of other people's money, getting invested in it, taking an investment yourself in a place. It's all big stuff, and it's really exciting stuff to do. And that's part of the joy of the process. Don't rule out that, you'll come up against some of your own limitations and constraints or, typical areas you might fall over. Those things tend to be exposed quickly in a process like this. And when I say exposed quickly, we want to know what they are so we can deal with them and help you through them, without too much wailing and gnashing of teeth, becoming, let's get you through those obstacles and those areas that you normally trip yourself up and grow into this new version of you as a business person, because that's where the fun is. And from that point of view, what I get excited about personally is, we'll have 20 people in this cultivator, 20 high functioning, highly motivated people who are doing great work on the land. That's just what we need out there right now. They're the land custodians we need in this place right now. And the business people and the movers and shakers that we desperately need. And so that's really where I get excited about this, is seeing what you guys can really achieve with this. Farm ownership's part of it, but who you become as an impact player in the space really is important also. Anyway, I'll shut up. You guys might need your breakfast or whatever now. So thank you all for your time this morning. Sam, any thoughts? Just finish.
No, that's it. Thank you very much. Looking forward to working with you all, and keep on that. Keep the dream alive. Keep hunting for your farm, and we'll love to be part of that. So we'll let you all go. Thank you. And
before you guys, Sam, do you want to share the link for those on the recording?
Yes.
The link to the sign up page and where you get further details, etc. Just put that in there so everyone's got it. We've got 7 spots left of the 20. We've got Ellie marketing it very heavily at the moment, so I expect we're going to fill that up very quickly and probably have more than 20 apply. So we got to choose our best applications of that to have it back to 20. So fill that application in as it's almost an expression of interest, because we want to make sure you're right for it as well.
That's it. Cultivate Farms /Cultivator. Jump on there and you can sign up there.
In the chat?
It's in the chat.
It is. All right. Gotcha. All right. Thank you all.
Thank you all. We'll let you go.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good to see you all.
Thanks, Adam. See you guys.
Yeah.